By the end of this video, you're gonna learn how to turn a photo like this into this. And if you're really impatient, you can jump to this timestamp to dive right into the tutorial. Today we're looking at only a few Lightroom tricks that can really give your photos a specific mood and make them pop. Just like that. It's been a while since I've picked up the camera to just go shoot for fun. No strings attached, no deadlines, no pressure, none of that. But about a week ago, I found out about this super old steam train, which apparently you can just ride once in a while. And it was a bit of a no-brainer because it's just next to my city, so when I saw it, I was just like, tickets please! Get it? Because that's what they say when they check it. I am by no means a train fanatic or anything like that. I've actually only seen these kind of locomotives in museums. And that's pretty much the only reason I even took the camera with me that day, not knowing that I'll end up talking to you about this later on. But this was that kind of photo shoot where the moment you get home, you just have to download the photos right away and start curating them and editing them because you just have to. Alright, all of today's photos were taken with the Sony A7IV and only one single lens, the TAMRON 28-75 f2.8. Amazing lens, just great value for money. This lens just lets me be flexible with my depth of field. It has a decently wide enough aperture, which is pretty much what I needed that day. You know, the train has a schedule. It doesn't wait for anyone to find the right place and angle to take a photo. All I'm trying to say is I was both a passenger and a photographer that day, so I needed a zoom lens. Now let's open Lightroom and go together over this short editing technique. And I say short because it is short and easy. Lately it starts to feel like cheating, this whole editing process, I swear. It's getting so much easier to use these tools with every single update that soon we're all gonna suffer from imposter syndrome.
Am I really that good?
So if you're ready, let's start cheating together. I think this is my favorite photo of the day, to be honest with you. I'm pretty proud of the composition. We have some foreground over here, but there's still a lot to correct. So let's just do that now. Alright, let's see how we get that nice moody look to this photo. So right off the bat, you have this auto button over here, which first of all, I want you to know, be careful with it because it can be a blessing and a curse. But I always use it as a foundation, as a start to my photos. It basically lets Lightroom correct a lot of the values, the exposure, the contrast, the highlights, the shadows, and so on. So I use it as a base, as a foundation for what I want my photo to look like. So let's just click on auto. And as you can see, if we click on this eye here over here, if you hold it, you can see the photo before and after, okay? Before and after. You can see all these values changed automatically according to what Lightroom thinks is best. And I gotta be honest with you, I kind of like it. I think if I would have done this from scratch, I would have got to a very, very similar result. So the first thing I want to do to actually add to the corrections Lightroom made to my photo is actually to put the highlights all the way down, just so, because this way I get a bit more detail into these leaves of these trees over here. I don't know, I just like it. At this point it's really a preference. So let's leave the highlights crushed all the way down. Now before I continue, I would like to get rid of this. This is pretty annoying. I'm sure you also find it distracting. So what I want to do is use the new AI tool Lightroom developed, which is under here, under this eraser icon. If you just click on that and make sure you have generative AI, I'm just gonna basically brush over it. You just gotta make sure the brush covers the whole object, then click on subtract and then apply. And then just let Lightroom do its magic. That was just awesome. This is what I mean. This really feels like cheating. Okay, now let's go back to our editing window over here and let's continue. The next thing I want to do is adjust the white balance just a little bit, and you're gonna see a slight difference in the temperature and tint over here in these values. So either by hitting W on your keyboard or clicking on this icon over here, select something that you know for sure was white when you were at the location. In my case, this piece of locomotive over here, this paint I know was white. So I'm just gonna click on it, and you can see we had a increase a value over here, and in the tilt over here. It made a little difference, but it matters at the end. What I want to do next is add just a little bit of dehaze. So basically just going under the slider, increasing the value just a little bit, maybe up to 10 or so. And I really think that's enough. I don't want to overdo any of these settings. It's just bit by bit adding to the mood that we're trying to create. To be honest with you, I like what Lightroom did with the rest of the settings, so I'm just gonna go down to tone curve, and don't worry, we're not gonna spend too much time over here. I just want you to create a classic S curve. So basically we're gonna click one here, and one here. And by S curve, we mean lifting the shadows all the way down here. We just lift the shadows slightly a little bit. You can see the difference on the locomotive. We just lift the shadows just a little bit and drop the highlights even more, maybe over here. I think that's it. You can see a before and after over here. Basically, we added again just a little bit more to the mood we're trying to create. And I know it doesn't look like it, but we're almost done. I promised to keep this short because I really wanted to show you how easy it is to transform a photo like this in Lightroom. So the next and last step is just to go here under color mixer. First of all, make sure you're not under point color, but actually mixer. This HSL sliders over here might seem intimidating the first time, but trust me, the more you start to play with Lightroom, this is where you're going to spend a lot of time in. But today, I do not want to dive into this because we can spend hours, and I don't want to spend hours, I want to spend minutes. I would like to change this HSL to color. So we have a couple of colors over here, and we're going to play with the saturation and luminance of some of them. First of all, my blues, and when I say blue, I mean blue and aqua over here. I would like to take those down, almost all the way down. So I'm going to go to blue and put the saturation and luminance all the way, almost all the way over here maybe. The same with aqua. I'm just going to put them maybe somewhere here. I'm going to do the opposite with the orange and yellows. First, I'm going to go to orange and increase it almost all the way up. If you see, if I go all the way here, maybe this is slightly too much, but I will leave it somewhere here. The same with the luminance, maybe not all the way, but also somewhere here. Again, guys, this is just your preference. I might edit this differently in a couple of months. You might edit it differently tomorrow. So this is really where you just add your artistic preference, if you may. Then I'll go to yellows and do the same I did with the oranges. Maybe not all the way because this is too much, as you can see, but maybe somewhere over here. And the same with the luminance. I guess this is, yeah, somewhere over here. Okay, I'm gonna take the greens. This is gonna change quite a lot. I'll go to the greens and desaturate, not all the way down, but you can see what happens. If I go all the way down or all the way up, you can see which areas obviously are affected. Basically the grass and the trees in the back. But I don't want, this is way too saturated for me, so I would like the locomotive to pop. This is the subject of our photos. So I'm gonna desaturate these greens. Almost all the way, not over here, but almost over here. The same with the luminance, somewhere over here. And this already looks almost like what I want. To me, this is it. But as you can see, this is not exactly what you saw at the beginning of the video, because I would like to add some extra corrections to make the subject of our photo pop. So I'm gonna go all the way up to the first sliders we saw here. And I'm going to bring the exposure all the way down to -1. And the next thing to do is to maybe lift the shadows just slightly more. You see there are 59 over here. Maybe just put 70, maybe 80. There you go. And then put the blacks slightly lower than 37, maybe even -50. I think this is 99% done. The 1% is to go all the way down to effects and add a vignette to it. This way our subject will really be more than this in focus. So under effects, here in post crop vignetting, I'm gonna decrease this amount. You can see if I go all the way down, this is what happens. So basically I'll just work from there and go maybe, just so you don't really notice there's a vignette, but rather, yeah, maybe somewhere here. And just to see what we have been doing all this time, you can just hit Y on the keyboard and see a before and after. I think we've come a long way with this edit. Again, this is really up to you on how you would like to do this in the future. I'm super happy with what we just achieved. And the last thing I want to show you is that there is a super way to slap all these color corrections on all the other photos from that day. So let's just select one, maybe this one over here. This is also a really nice photo of the train ticket I took. Basically, just go down here and click previous. Bam. Look at this, guys. This is amazing. To this photo, I don't want to do anything else anymore. Literally, that's it. Look, you're not always going to be this lucky how we just got here with this photo by clicking previous and then, not wanting to touch it again. But I'll show you another example where here where we got our tickets checked, if I click previous right now, you'll see it's not exactly there, right? It's still in the same tone of colors, but it's not exactly there. Why? Because the exposure is way too down for this. We are on -1. Maybe I'm going to start at 0 and go from there. So what I want to do now is maybe even bring the highlights slightly over. You're going to just play with this until you're happy. So yeah, I'm going to bring maybe the shadows a bit more, maybe even the exposure actually just slightly higher, maybe somewhere over here. Again, you play with this as you like. The same way I can do here, this is also a really nice photo of the day. I can just click previous, ignore this. And as you can see, maybe it's to your taste, a little bit too dark. No problem. You can just start again at the 0 exposure and go down from there. So maybe not all the way down as -1, but like somewhere here. Increase the highlights. Again, guys, this is really up to your own preference. But really, these are just some basic techniques which you can use to make your photos stand out a little bit more. And I'm sure you can already start seeing how deep you can go with these to achieve a certain result. I hope you learned something or got inspired by a few things in today's video. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Ciao!